Neptune, god of the water, ruler of our imagination, ruler of Pisces, the zodiac sign Pisces. Neptune is about fantasy, illusion, daydreaming, art, creation, imagination. It also is about our delusions, how we are gullible in certain areas of our life, how we are able to be manipulated by others. It is about our quest to obtain spiritual knowledge and awareness, because Pisces is very spiritual. So Neptune is the blind spot in our head. It's a blind spot. It's connected to our subconscious. When we look at certain artists and spiritualists, some of these people, not some of them, a lot of them use their Neptune energy. They work with that energy to get their message out to people, whether it's a spiritual message or an enlightening message, whether they are channeling, whether they are creating a form of art, an art piece. They don't realize it, and we don't necessarily just talk about it out in the open, but these people are working with Neptune energy. Now, first things first, I just want to state this because astrologers, people online, people in general like to get into the negative aspects, and I will be touching on the negative aspects, but you have to know that Neptune is here to stay. It's here to stay. It's not going away anytime soon. So yes, we can look at the negatives and all of that, but Neptune is here to stay. So as much as we can like talk about the negatives and till we're blue in the face, no pun intended, till we're blue in the face, and oh, it's so bad and it creates all these problems within us in society. Like, all the planets, each planet comes with pros and cons. Like, I have Saturn, like I'm a Capricorn, so Saturn is like the ruling planet of Capricorn, and that comes with pros and cons. And I can be a very negative person and talk about, oh, Saturn's this and that, and I freaking hate Saturn, it's so strict, it has so many hard-ass lessons. I can talk about that till I'm blue in the face. However, it's not going to take me anywhere if I dwell on the negative, if I constantly... So the thing with Saturn is, since Saturn has given me so many lessons as a Capricorn, and it does this with all Capricorns, since it's given me so many lessons that I have to learn, Saturn makes me understand and realize why we need certain things in this world, why we need duality, why we need good and bad, why we need black and white. It helps me comprehend and understand things in this third dimension, That's what Saturn is for, okay? Neptune, on the other hand, is like all kinds of dimensions, all kinds of realms, and all kinds of dimensions. So Saturn tells me, Neptune is not like me. Neptune is like my crazy, wacky uncle that's stoned all the time. That's what Saturn tells me. Neptune is my uncle who's stoned, he's drunk, and he's high all the time. He's in la la land. And the thing, and Saturn's like, well, with Neptune, he can teach you about imagination, he can teach you about art, he can teach you about substances, he can teach you about creation, dance, and expression. He can teach you about, he can also teach you about where you are a bit gullible, or where you are kind of naive, you know, where you kind of like, you need to kind of work on this area. You need to build up some backbone to you, some kind of resilience, some kind of intelligence, and know how to deal with yourself in certain situations. Saturn is very rational. So since I do have a little bit of Neptune, because my rising sign is in Pisces, and because of that, I'm dressed like Neptune today, obviously, just for this video, just for the occasion, right? Because, you know, I often get mistaken for being a Pisces or an Aquarius, but I'm actually a Capricorn. It's just that my rising sign is in Pisces. So whenever people meet me, they think, is she Gemini? Is she an Aquarius or Pisces? It's usually those three signs that people assume I am, because Pisces rising people can definitely look a bit young and childish sometimes. So yeah, like my rising sign is in Pisces, and because of that Neptunian energy, it throws people off guard. They're like, the hell? Like when they encounter my personality, it's not like Pisces. Like it's not, it's very Capricorn. It's very like rational, grounded, down to earth. That's what my personality is. But my outward appearance is very much however I feel in the moment. So my outward appearance is definitely a Neptunian kind of appearance, I would say, because I don't like to look the same. I don't want to dress the same every single day, and that is part of my artistic expression. So people can say, you know, oh, well, you're just delusional, or you just think you're great and you're the best thing. Well, you know, the thing is, Neptune, like I said, is here to stay. So when I say Neptune is here to stay, I'm also saying art is here to stay. Art is here to stay. I'm also saying dancers and performers are here to stay. I'm also saying that our imagination is here to stay. So if you, or if society, if society wants to get rid of art, get rid of dance, get rid of creation, then they'd have to get rid of Neptune, and that's not possible. That's a delusion in itself. That's a delusion in itself to say, oh, we can just get rid of Neptune, because see, if you choose to focus on the negative sides of art, the negative aspects of art, the negative aspects of performers, the negative aspects of creation, you will experience that, because that's what your mind is focusing on. You want to manifest it, you want to see it. Saturn's going to be like, okay, I will let you see it in the third dimension. You want to see it? I'll show you all the ugly negative sides, because you want to learn that lesson. You want to understand. You want to comprehend. I'll show you the dark side of Neptune. All right, so we can you know, talk about both. There's no right or wrong, and like I said, Neptune is here to stay. So as a Capricorn, you know, we as Capricorns have our own trials and tribulations with Neptune, because we like to make sense of things sometimes, and thank God I have other things besides Earth in my chart, because I feel that makes me more open-minded when it comes to energy that's a bit more artistic and out there. Like, even if I'm not able to comprehend it and all that, like, I don't dismiss it, because some people, they would dismiss certain art, certain creation, they'll say, or certain spirituality, they will dismiss it and say this person is just wacko, this person is just, you know, just a weirdo, or I don't like their form of art. Like, I have my own taste in art, but I don't like their form of art. So the thing is, I feel I am more open-minded. I mean, obviously, I do have my own preferences and tastes in art and music and all this, but I'm also to the point in my life where I like to hear from different people's perspectives, because I find that when I hear from a variety of people, that are not looking all the same, not dressing all the same, not acting all the same, it can help me, it can teach me a lot about different sides and ways of life. And I find that enriching, and I find that it provides more examples than just one way. You know, in the past, if you look at certain old generations, people used to do things one way. This is the way. You have to do it this way. You need to dress this way. There was like a dress code. There's this is the way. This is the path you go on in life, and all this kind of stuff. But that's not necessarily for everyone. You know, especially in this modern age, things are different now. Let's get into the negative sides first. Obviously, you know, Neptune is about our delusions, and sometimes this can include like where we see ourselves in the future, or the kind of partners we're going to be with. So sometimes people can be delusional about who they're dating. Like they might see somebody through rose-colored glasses. They might be with a partner that's very toxic, and they might say to themselves, oh, you know, I'll put up with it for this reason, because, you know, he does this for me or she does this for me, so I'll keep the relationship going, even though that things are getting kind of bad and toxic. You know, I'm just going to keep up the appearances around the neighbors. And you know what I'm saying? The difficult thing with Neptune is you don't know, because everyone, like I said, Neptune is here to stay, and we all have Neptune within us. As much as we want to pretend like we're perfect, and oh, you know, this person is more Neptunian than the other, this person. But the thing is, some people are more Saturnian than others. So of course, if someone has lots of Pisces and Cancer and this water and stuff in their chart, of course they're going to be more Neptunian. Of course they're going to have that energy more. It's normal. That's what I'm trying to say. Art is normal. Neptune is here to stay. All right? So you can argue about Neptune being bad and all this, but it's not going away anytime soon. So, like I said, we can't see sometimes what we are delusional about. People can point it out to us, but sometimes our delusions change. So even if someone points out the certain delusion, Neptune's like, oh, someone figured it out, let me just throw in an extra delusion. Next thing you know, the delusion is something completely different next week, right? So it can be delusions about our careers. It can be delusions about, like I said, relationships, delusions about our friends and all that. Sometimes when certain people, you know, in society, you know, they kind of promote having lots of friends and all that, and even like on certain TV shows, you know, they promote, oh, you know, big group of friends. But I find personally, I like a small group of friends, and it's always been like that. The big group, it's too many people to keep up with, and it's a bit overwhelming for me anyway. So I like a small group of friends, and also some people. But I know people that they feel like they need like so many friends. It's like. But the thing is, I feel like they would be better off without all these people. I feel like they'd be able to accomplish so much more, like do so much more without staying in touch with all these people. But they're like, oh, I like hanging out with all these people, and like I don't want to force my opinion on them. I just ask them, you know, hey, you know, why are you keeping up with so many people? Is that just part of your lifestyle? And they say, yeah, it is. You know, I like hanging out with all these people. I like going to parties and having a good time, and I'm just an extroverted social butterfly. And I'm like, and I tell them, okay, well, I guess that's cool, you know, that's your life and all that. That's the thing with Neptune, is you have to be careful of imposing your opinions onto others, because sometimes, you know, we can call things out on other people, but at the end of the day, they're gonna have to deal with their life on their own. It's their journey, and no matter what kind of intervention happens, even when it comes to the drugs and substances, even like the most intervention, like even with the most intervention, even with the most intervening and kind of prying at people and pushing our opinions on people, or just trying to state the obvious, you know, state like what's happening to them. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face, like Neptune. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face with these people. But sometimes these people are going to have to change on their own. It's like an internal problem within them. It's the Neptune, it's their issues, their childhood, deep-rooted issues. And sometimes it can be resolved with the help of people, with the help of others. But a lot of the times, the individual is going to have to work on their issue within themselves. They're going to have to do it themselves. That's what I'm trying to say here. So, yes, we can point out where people are delusional in our lives, but obviously there's a time and place for it. It's not always appropriate. It's not always needed, especially with artists, you know. I do have lots of friends that are artists and creators, and they range. Some of them make a lot of money from their art. Some of them, you know, they're struggling or they're students. And the ones that make a lot of money with their art, if it wasn't for Neptune, if it wasn't for that Neptunian energy, if it wasn't for that creation, that imagination, they would not be that great artists that they are today. So yes, Neptune is needed. Just saying, because people always complain about Neptune. I'm going to talk about the fame now, the celebrities and all that. This is what pissed me off, because people complain about these celebrities all the time, but they don't understand. Saturn forces me to realize the ugly truths of humanity. And I'm going to call it ugly truths because it feels kind of dark when you know the truth. That's why I call it an ugly truth, because it feels dark. It's something like, I don't even want to know it. I want to just block it out with Neptune. But Saturn's like, no, I'm going to make you see the ugly truth. I'm going to make you see why we have these problems and these kinds of people and things in society. I'm going to make you see, whether you want to or whether you don't want to. Saturn and Pluto, because Pluto is also the underworld. And Pluto will also show you the dark sides of life, the ugly sides of life, the ugly sides of humanity. Pluto is just, you know, ruler of Scorpio. So it's going to be real with your ass. It's going to be like, I'm going to show you whether you want to see it or not. So with celebrities, they are a manifestation of our collective thoughts. What do I mean by this? Society we create extreme versions of ourselves. We are all connected, but I am a different version of you, basically. Everyone outside of me, they're connected to me, yes. They're people, but they're all outward projections of me. So they're all going to differ from me. Everyone's going to have their own shapes, their own sizes, and all that. So with celebrities, we create them. You might be like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, you're fucking crazy. Yeah, I know. I'm fucking crazy at this point. I don't care. This is a Neptune video, and at this point, I really couldn't give a shit what you think. But anyway, for those of you that are still listening, we manifest extreme versions of ourselves. What do I mean by this? Well, society as a whole has certain standards of beauty, certain standards of success and material and accolades and things we hold in high regard. That's also to do with Saturn as well. Things we hold in high regard, certain status, certain looks, especially with females, certain beauty standards that society collectively kind of determines. Each society, you know, each country is going to have their own beauty standard, but I'm just saying in general. So when we manifest an extreme version of the beauty, an extreme version of the winner, the athletes, an extreme version of the person that wins lots of awards, accolades for certain business or certain kind of financial things, investment things, whatever. These are our own manifestations. We create it because in a world of duality, we're going to have the extreme, we're going to have the middle, people that can go up and down. They can interchange. But we're going to have the extreme versions of it as an example to make sense. See, Saturn wants you to make sense. So if you have an extreme version of someone that has like lots of plastic surgery, their lips are done, they have the Botox all over their face, fake boobs, fake bottom, fake nails, lace front wig, fake eyelashes, full face of makeup. That is the extreme version that we have created as society. No, it's not one person, honey. We've created it. Why? Because all of these things exist. Makeup exists, plastic surgery exists, chemical cosmetic surgery exists, enhancements exist, beauty standards exist. We create these, we manifest it. They are an extreme version. We'll have people that are interchangeable, that are certain versions. It might not be like that version I just talked about. There'll be like, one version will be a skinny person, a skinny model. One person will be a curvy model, someone with an hourglass shape. So we'll have different extreme versions, different people representing ourselves, being the model and representation of ourselves. And we'll have one man who is very poised. He wears classic style clothing. And then we'll have a guy who does trap music, who wears his head in dreads, and he dyed his dreads, and he has baggy clothing, and he has Gucci pants on, and kind of these sneakers and all that. So we create different kinds of people, or we have people out there representing different versions of ourselves or of our own thoughts. So the celebrity thing, okay. Like I said, if society, if many people collectively hold certain things in high regard, hold certain things to a high standard, collectively, not just a big group of people, obviously this is what's promoted, this is what is pushed to the forefront, because that's what we place value on. That's what you're placing value on as society, as people, as communities. You know, with the beauty, with the athletes, with the successful business people or successful businesses, you know, the finance, the money. If that's what you're holding in high regard as society, that's what's going to be promoted. There's going to be extreme versions of it, obviously. There's going to have like a middle ground where it's like, it'll have other kinds of expressions as well, other kinds of people. So that's why, you know, we see so many like extreme versions out there, so many celebrities that are kind of extreme representations of people and extreme representations of beauty and aesthetic as in like art and creation and appearance and all that. So that's why these people exist. And yes, you know, we can talk about the negatives. You know, we can talk about the negatives of celebrity and how celebrities get lost into substances, because the whole music industry, TV, theater, you know, that uses a lot of Neptunian energy. You're putting on an act, you're putting on a show, and performers need to realize that there's a difference between the act, the show, and who you are at home. You know what I'm saying? When you're putting on an act and a show, it's an outward expression, and a lot of people get lost in it. That's the thing. So when people start to watch a movie, it's so immersive. Like you get submerged into it through Neptune. Neptune's like, hey, come on for the ride. Let's go on the roller coaster. Okay, hold on tight. Ooh, that's what it's like. Okay, so you're going into a completely different realm. Obviously, you're going into a completely different realm, and you can hold on for dear life, but who knows? You might not end up going where you want. It might take you somewhere else. It might make you see things in a completely different way. Neptune is going to take you on the ride of your life. The thing is though, with substances and all that, obviously you need to be careful. You need to do your research, and obviously, you know, certain substances are not for everyone. So you need to be careful with what you're taking and all that. The only thing is, Neptune can be like, oh, you know, if you try this thing, you're gonna feel great. All your anxiety is gonna go away. All your worries and troubles and past trauma is not going to affect you if you take this substance. And the thing is, some people are delusional because they think that they can continue on with certain substances without realizing the damage that these substances are doing to the person's life. So that's the thing, you know, it just, you might think you're in control. That's the thing with Neptune. You might think you're in control because Neptune's like, yeah, it's fine. But Neptune is high himself. He's loopy himself. So if he's loopy and he's telling you it's fine, you'll be fine, you're not going to be fine. So it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that you'll be fine. Neptune definitely alters your reality and blurs deception, and even it can blur your senses. So it might make things difficult for you to make sense and comprehend. And yeah, that's the difficult thing with Neptune, because you might think you're in control. So with Neptune, we can sometimes romanticize certain things about our life, because Neptune is also about the dreams and the psychic awareness and all the spiritual, you know, just things that are really out there, realms that are really out there. So obviously you need to tread carefully, but I know as I say tread carefully, sometimes easier said than done, because once you jump into that, and even in your unconscious state when you're asleep, like, we don't have control of that sometimes when we're unconscious. When we are in dreamland and all that, in our dreams, when we're asleep, we don't usually have that much control, or we might think we do, but just certain random things happen that are just unexplained. We go off into completely other dimensions, and that is Neptune. So yeah, I hope that this video has been interesting and enlightening. Like I said, with the extreme versions of celebrities or extreme versions of people, that is a collective manifestation. And obviously fame and fortune and material gain has its positive and negative. It is, the positive and negative side is also used as an example to teach us, you know, that it's not all that it's cracked up to be, that there's a good side and a bad side to everything. And we do need the bad side in order to comprehend the good. There is no good without bad. Unfortunately, as dark and morbid as that sounds, it's needed in this to make sense and comprehend everything in this realm. So when we start to attack certain people, or attack certain art forms or artistic expressions, just know that the good and the bad is needed in this world. It will always be around. Even with the next generations coming in, it's gonna be around still. So just realize, because, you know, it's here to stay, just like Neptune is here to stay. And if society wants change with these things, they're going to have to collectively change it together. Teamwork, you know? I love me some Pisces energy and Pisces people. So Neptune is definitely here to stay in my world. I'm joking, like, it's here to stay in everyone's world, and it will always be around, just like Pisces people will always be around. But yeah, the whole kind of demonizing Neptune isn't cool. It's like demonizing Saturn. And obviously Saturn has its dark side and all of that, but it's here to teach us. It has lots of lessons and all that, and it's needed for us to comprehend the structures in our third dimension. So yeah, Neptune is good because it can help with our artistic vision, our creations. I love art. I will always love art. Art is here to stay. There's going to be a next generation of artists, and these people will be here to stay, and it's always going to be around us, whether we like it or not. We can look at the negative, but we can also see the positive. that Neptunian energy helps us get away a bit from past trauma, and we can use it in a more positive way, or we can learn. If we don't know how to use it in a more positive way, we can learn to, instead of doing the more destructive ways like substances and all that, or addictive tendencies, or being kind of naive. We can just be more self-controlled, work with Saturn a bit as well, besides just Neptune, and learn about self-control, because that is important. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely will be talking about Neptune in the future, because there's so much to get into, especially with the fame, the material, and all that. And I also want to discuss the Neptune and Capricorn generation, which is my generation. So, you know, millennials, and then up until like Gen Z a little bit of Gen Z. So mainly millennials, and the start of Gen Z is basically the Neptune and Capricorn generation. You know, we grew up with Hollywood, we grew up with TV, we grew up with the internet, in school and all that. I went to school, when I was in primary school, like a child, I went to school in California. So of course, I had the Disney, I had certain programming that I'm aware of. And I understand how Neptune played a role in my childhood, and the illusions, you know, that was brought into people that are around the same age as me, the illusions and stuff that were brought into our childhoods collectively, and also because of society. Society wanted us, the older generations, you know, gave this sort of programming to us. So with my generation, you know, whatever generation you fall in, whether it's Neptune and Scorpio generation, Neptune and Capricorn, collectively with your peers, with the people within that age group, and that age, that Neptunian age, you're gonna share certain similarities in terms of like delusions, in terms of what you value, what you hold in high regards, in terms of like art creation and expression. So, you know, we're now in this kind of social media age with the millennials and the Gen Zs. So obviously that is going to be an interesting video. Feel free to subscribe if you like this kind of content. I will be doing more planet videos in the future, so stay tuned for more.